So with it?
What's going on with you, bro?
Nothing much. Introduce yourself, let the people know who you are.
Okay, cool. I'm Zach Post with Elite Homegrowers Academy. I am the president. We're a nonprofit organization that pretty much focuses on teaching people how to grow medical cannabis indoors.
Okay. Well, yeah, I see, especially the name, self-explanatory yourself. I see like on your Instagram, you do like classes to give people tips, like you said, to grow indoors.
Yeah.
Things like that. What are some tips that you can give someone starting off who wanted to, basically, like I said, get their own cannabis
get it cracking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say like the main thing would be just to start starting off with solid genetics. A lot of people, they get excited with the thought of just being able to grow, so they'll grow whatever. They get a seed and be like, "Hey, I'm in the game," but you'll waste a lot of time trying to figure out if that seed is really worth growing. So starting off off the gate with solid genetics would be a huge advantage to any new grower. Then, of course, you can talk about equipment and things of that nature. But if you got something solid to grow, like starting off on a solid foundation, that's a big part of that foundation is whatever you're growing. So genetics is like your seed, like whatever strain you want to grow. But make sure it's a solid strain.
I've seen you have like some seeds come from, I can't remember the country.
Uganda?
Yeah.
Yeah. We sure did. Hey, man. And she a nice one, too. She a nice one. Like, Africa is known for, like, producing, like, land-raised good sativa strains, like the more uppity, creative, social type cannabis, since it's so close to the equator. So we had a buddy that went over there, and he lucked up and, brought us some gifts back, you know what I'm saying? So we definitely are excited to do some runs on those and actually do some crossbreeding and, bringing an African-American cross to it, you know what I'm saying?
How does the soil, the chemicals, even the lighting play a part in the quality and, the growth of the plant?
It's a big part of it, huge part of it. So your soil, like you have multiple ways to grow, and I won't give you the whole drawn out analogy of it, but you have like you can grow organically or you can grow synthetically. But your soil is just one type of medium that you can use. You got people using hydroponics, which is like soil-less medium, like water, cocoa core, different type of varieties that you can do this quote unquote hydroponic. But your medium is a big piece of it. Your nutrients is the key. Like you are what you eat. So if you just you eat McDonald's all day as a human, you feed yourself full of crap. Guess what? You're just gonna be a crappy person, right? Inside. Same thing with your plants. If you give them crappy food, you're gonna get a crappy product. But you give them some solid based food. Like I'm an organic grower. No smoke against synthetic growers, you know what I'm saying? My vice president is a synthetic grower. But at the same time, like I feel like it's a road for both. Like it's an avenue for both lanes, but it's still a quality of nutrient that you want to use no matter what lane you go into. So lighting is a huge aspect of it. When you look at photosynthesis in general, that's where the plants get its energy from. So your light is your sun, basically, is the energy source that's powering those genetics that you're running. So having a good quality light out the gate, I would say spend half of your budget on your grow should be on your light, like for real. You know what I'm saying? Like don't cut any corners when it comes to your light. So, but put it all together, you can get some good quality stuff. If you get subpar equipment, you're gonna get subpar quality. If you get middle of the road or good equipment, your quality just progress with that. So growing it's a phase. You're gonna continue to grow and advance your equipment as you get better, as you get a bigger budget, so on and so forth. And as you do that, your quality will also advance too. So yeah. That's a lot, right?
Yeah, that's a lot.
I know, man. It's a loaded question. I was like, ooh, be careful where you go with this one.
Yeah. Everybody trying to get that loud, that danger, Zaza, as they say.
That Za, that Za. You gotta have it, man. You gotta have it. But creating that Za starts with a good environment and also the Za genetics. You gotta have those genetics that's gonna give you that Za effect. You know what I'm saying? So
the cannabis today is very, I guess, more potent versus back then.
Yeah. Back in the day, yeah.
Yeah, you can barely find regular weed.
Right.
Nowadays, anyway.
Yeah.
Why do you think it transformed so drastically from the potency how it was back then to now?
I would say science, a lot of different crosses, like crossbreeding. Is what helped create that high potency. And it's going to continue to increase. Like I heard like Ice Cube, his strain, he dropped a strain that's testing at 45% flower. Like, and we ain't talking about concentrate, like, you know, wax or dabs or anything. We talking about straight flower that's testing at a 45% THC level. For me, that was like unheard of. That's off the charts, because in the 30s is good, but like I said, they're constantly pushing that envelope. Hey, we in America, so it's like they always going, hey, it's competition, baby. Who, you know, because even though THC is not the main thing that's really in the plant, but it's the main thing that's marketable. Right, so a consumer can track it and say, hey, this got 17% THC, this one got 30% THC, so I want the 30%er, even though the 17% may even give you a better effect overall, because it's all about the cannabinoids, not just THC. That's just one cannabinoid over like 130 that work together to give you an entourage effect in your body. So if you're only focusing on one, you're shortchanging yourself. So even though I know that, but it's hard trying to educate the regular consumer that they, whatever, forget what you're talking about, man. What's the THC level? Like, that's all they care about. And that's cool. It's marketable. That's what the industry is kind of built on. Like, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it just got to work with what sells, right? You know, so yeah.
Just say when it comes to like making edibles, like I just looking into it myself, it seems easy, but I'm sure it's more, you know,
yeah, like complex.
Complex than what it seems to a person who never done it.
Right.
That's like they use the oil, like with butter or whatever, and kind of melt it.
Yeah, you gotta
extract the THC from it.
Exactly. You got a range of different methods to extract, right? Especially when you're making edibles. I don't do edibles. I grow flower, but I know a little bit about it, right? I know enough to kind of like it's just like any other art form or any other skill. Like making cheesecake, right? The first cheesecake that you make probably won't be the best cheesecake, right? But as you continue to do your research and so on and so forth, you'll be like, man, this cheesecake is messing with something. Same thing with the edibles. The first time decarboxylating it, trying to figure out that recipe, you know, you might do it and be too strong, you know what I'm saying? But you'll keep working it and it changes, you know?
Yeah, those people, that stuff just sneak up on you. Like,
it's
I'm sure you need like a huge batch to make, let's say, like a tray of brownies.
Yeah, I would say a tray of, and that really all kind of depends on how much you want to put into it. You could put a quarter of cannabis into a tray of brownies, or you can put a pound of cannabis in a tray of brownies. It all depends on like how much you want to really. That's the compounding side of it, right? So, and I think that's where, you know, so many people are doing it. You get a range of different effects from it, because this person may be using more, this person may be using less, but everybody want the effect of like, oh man, that stuff knocked me out. I don't like being knocked out, honestly. Personally, I don't like stuff to creep up. That's why I don't do edibles, because I feel like they're not really dialed in to the point where it's the right dose for me. It's either taking me to Mars. I don't want to go to Mars every time, right? I'm cool here on Earth. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to go to Mars every time I eat a cookie or something, you know? So, but some people like it, and it works for them.
Is it a such thing as overdosing on marijuana?
Now, that's a gray area, I would say. Like, it's a scientific studies say nobody's ever done it. They tested lab rats or something where they tried to like kill them with weed and it didn't work. They just kept getting sleepy. They would go to sleep and wake up and they want more food or whatever, right? As a human, I feel like you can overconsume anything, just on a conscious level. You know, alcohol, cannabis, the same thing. Just because you have a pound of cannabis does not mean you need to smoke an ounce a day. You really, like, on the medical side, do you really? But like if you're doing it recreational, it's still like, to me, it's a fine line. You know, even though we have abundance of it, we have access to it, you still got to put yourself like on a diet. Like you just can't go in all crazy all the time. You know, but hey, to each his own.
Does the consumption of cannabis plant provide any medical benefits?
Definitely. Like, I would say on the scientific side of it, it's proven, but also like on a personal testimony side of it, for me, that is what made me switch and go so into cannabis like I did, like really studying it, because I have digestive issues. I suffer from anxiety, just like pretty much any human being, right? And you can take all these prescription meds, and I worked in pharmacy for about a decade, right? A pharmaceutical, so I know the chemical reaction to man-made pills and stuff, and I know the organic benefits of like plant healing. So yeah, I feel like it's definitely a medicinal benefit from cannabis. It may not be for everybody because we all have different bodies and different chemistries in our body, but I really feel like it can provide a better quality of life for the right individual. You know, so yeah, straight up 100%. And that's why it's going legal. I think that's a big part of it because of kids, honestly, like epilepsy. Once they figured out CBD could really help with those seizures, it was like full steam ahead at that point. You know, so I mean, this is a $1 trillion industry, and that's a big part of it. That's what's going to make it a $1 trillion industry because of the medicinal benefit of it. I really feel like, honestly. Yeah.
What's the major difference between CBD and the THC? Is cannabis, both cannabinoids?
Yeah, they both cannabinoids. Yeah, right. So I would say they work on different things in your body. Like you have CB1 and CB2 receptors, and I don't want to get off onto that, but the way that your brain can kind of process these cannabinoids and what effect that it has on your body. So the THC side of it is the side of it that's the psychoactive side of it. Like that's gonna make you feel like you're happy, you're euphoric, like you're high. That's what the THC, but that's one component of, like I said, 138 or it's constantly growing cannabinoids that's in this plant. So the THC job within this whole gang is to make you high. But then you have the CBD that's going to be more of that calming effect, that more relaxing effect. That's going to actually be the blanket over your body. That's where the CBD. So that has more of the healing benefits within the plant. You know, so that's one of the main differences between CBD and THC, based on what I've read and what I've personally witnessed.
How long exactly have you been in the industry?
Man, like as a company. Been in the industry. Well, I'll say as an employee, that was really my first introduction. So that was back in 2016 up until now. So I've been involved with some aspect of cannabis since 2016. Yeah. And
with the recent, I guess, bill that was passed was December 13th last year. Mayor Jones, where basically decriminalized up to the possession, I think 2 ounces.
Yep, 2 ounces and 6 plants that you can cultivate, flowering plants, which is a good thing.
It's kind of a tricky law, though.
It's a slippery slope.
People hear that.
It's a slippery slope. It's legal to grow, or we can get.
But isn't I understand that you still have to have a medical card?
Well, so based on the law of Missouri, to be a legal consumer of cannabis, yes, you have to be a medical patient that's registered with the state of Missouri. Now, the law that the St. Louis City, the mayor was talking about that they passed and wrote in was the actual decriminalization of it, which make it not really a crime to have it. So they're kind of separate, right? So since the overall law of the state saying, hey, it's medicinally legal, but then on the back end, I would say more on the street side of it, police just can't pull you over and be like, oh, you got 2 ounces of marijuana, or you got a gram of marijuana. Come on, we got to pull you in, do the paperwork, arrest you, using those companies' resources, using the state's resources for petty crime, right? So that's the whole gist behind the decriminalization of it. Which, hey, that's a overall big win for Missouri and also for the overall industry. It starts with the decriminalization of it because you got a lot of black and brown people, man, that's been locked up for this, and you have a lot of suits and ties making a killing off of it right now. If they would have did that, if the suits and ties would have did the same thing that the black and browns are doing 10 years ago, would they actually be in jail right now? So it's a touchy subject, but it's factual and it's data proven, right? But yeah, so I feel like the decriminalization of it is a big part of it to help us moving forward to pipe that stigma down. Like, we really breaking the law because you got an ounce of cannabis on you. That's ridiculous, right? You know, it ain't Molly's, it ain't meth, so, but yeah.
I think that was one of the things that they kind of pointed out when she signed the bill, that I think over the last 2 or 3 years or so, 80% of the arrests or stops over cannabis was predominantly African Americans, or black and brown people.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. Like, that's an unfortunate statement, but it's legit. It doesn't even have to be the stops of cannabis. It's the stops in general. You know what I'm saying? Just stops in general for anything is going to be predominantly African American. I feel that way, right? So yeah.
Yeah, like you just first start off with, they decriminalized down to a fine. Then, like you said, decriminalize it up to 2 ounces to 6, plants.
Yeah.
Do you see it becoming fully legal soon?
I would say that I feel like, yes. Recreational, yeah. I would say federally legal. It's gonna come. I think what's gonna happen, like what's not being talked about, or people that's in the industry now on a commercial level, they kind of don't want that though. Like if you think about it, that's bad business for them. They can corner the market right now because it's not. So you might get a little pushback from the bigger organizations that can control stuff to kind of extend the period of when of it not being federally legal. That's kind of what we're going on right now. But I think eventually, yeah, it's going to be federally legal. It's too much money behind it. It's a commodity. It's like pork bellies, sugar, coffee. That's what cannabis will be. You know, market value, fish. Like it's a commodity. It's going to be good for the overall economy. If the state of Illinois went from being in debt to having $1 billion, making $1 billion off of cannabis, like, I mean, the proof is in the pudding.
Right.
You know, the people want it. Man. Yeah, the American people want the cannabis.
Yeah, hopefully they can be able to, you know, overrule the employers saying you can't. You know,
the drug policy, drug testing and stuff. Like Vegas, Nevada did a cool thing. Like I feel like Nevada would be a good example for the overall country because it's like for certain titles or certain jobs, they're like we're not even going to waste our time on testing you for cannabis. But things like transportation, of course, like the things that just commonly you don't want somebody high doing, makes sense. 100%, I agree with that. I'm not going to be like, no, they need it, right? Versus, you know, the general. Okay, if I'm a dishwasher, do I really need to be tested for cannabis for real? Like straight up, like washing these dishes, you know? So I feel like if but I feel like it's gonna start to kind of get tapered down a little bit more, but it's never going to completely go away. They'll still always have to have something in place for those particular sectors that are important.
So, last question here. What is, like I said, what is the perfect setup or starter setup for someone who wants to start growing at home?
I would say getting something that you know you can maintain. So if that's a 2x3, your space is going to be a big part of that. Are you growing in a closet? Do you have access to a basement? You're growing in the attic? Things of that nature. How much size do you actually have? Then with that, kind of don't rush. You know, you can always grow into it, phase up, you know. So start off with something small, a 2x3, a 4x4 with a light, a dehumidifier, carbon filter, inline fan, things of that nature, some good genetics, and then take it from there. Then because you don't even know if you like growing. We meet so many people who say, hey, have you grown anything before? Anything? Nah. But you want to just get in here and just crush it in cannabis? Okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like you got to ease your way into this because some people they'll spend the money and guess what? They'll have one harvest and they say, hey Zach, you know somebody want to buy this stuff because technically they just not like you got to be a plant lover really to grow quality cannabis, man. Like anything you got to add that love to it. And if you're too busy doing it for the wrong reasons, it ain't gonna work out for you. You're gonna end up hating it, you know. So
you already got that drive to do it, so.
Right. Exactly. So I would just say start off small. Don't bite off more than you can chew, and actually learn it. Get you some good equipment, a good smaller setup, and just know if you love it, you can always expand and get bigger. You don't have to go for the gusto right out the gate. But just focus on learning the plant, learning how to cultivate the art form of it, and then you'll do great. You'll do great. Or either you'll say I don't like it or I love it. You know, and that's just what it is. You know, so.
Yeah. Shout out to your social media. Let people know they can find you at.
Okay, cool. We are on Instagram at Elite Home Growers Academy. Well, actually, no, it's at Elite Home Growers, at Elite Home Growers, and also Facebook is at the same handle. And website is elitehg.org if you want to learn more about what we do.
You got an upcoming class coming up?
Actually, yeah, we're launching a course. Okay. So it's gonna be February. What's the second weekend? The second weekend of February.
I think that's the 13th, right before Valentine's Day.
Yeah, right before Valentine's Day. So it's like that Saturday we'll be launching. We're gonna be launching our course. You know, so it'll be a 4-part, but basically a month course where we meet once a week. You know, once a Saturday to learn different aspects of the cannabis industry, not just cultivating, but cultivating is a big part of it. But people can also get those individual classes if they don't want to do the whole course. But the next one is going to be February 13th, that Saturday of February, the second Saturday of February.
Okay.
Yep.
Appreciate your time, brother.
Oh, no, I appreciate you having us come through, man. I greatly appreciate it, man.
No problem.
Thank you.